Lawmakers have until Friday to prevent a partial federal government shutdown, and mourners attended a prayer service in Madison, Wisconsin last night for the victims of Monday's school shooting. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Congressional leaders have released details of their bipartisan stopgap spending plan. They need to pass the measure quickly, or the federal government will partially shut down late Friday night. It's worth about $100 billion, and there is a lot of money set aside to help pay for disaster recovery, such as hurricanes. It's expected to pass, but NPR's Claudia Grisales says the Conservative Freedom Caucus is objecting to the cost of the legislation.
Other conservative Republicans, however, in both chambers called it garbage, quote, reckless spending. So there's enough jam-packed in this bill that's causing its share of controversy for some along the way, but many are still betting this bipartisan plan will still survive its critics.
NPR's Claudia Grisales reporting the spending only runs through mid-March. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates today by as much as 0.25 percentage point. But inflation is a factor. Higher interest rates can help slow down consumer prices, but NPR's Scott Horsley says higher rates can also be a drag on the economy.
So the Fed is trying to strike a balance here. Markets are betting the Fed is going to lower interest rates today, and then after that, maybe take a break and see how things play out.
NPR's Scott Horsley reporting. A Manhattan grand jury has indicted the suspect in the killing of United Healthcare's CEO Brian Thompson earlier this month. Luigi Mangione faces several charges, including first- and second-degree murder. From member station WNYC, Samantha Max says there's another accusation.
Some of these murder charges allege that the killing was committed in furtherance of terrorism. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg called the shooting brazen and said it was meant to cause shock and intimidation.
Samantha Max reporting. Mangione is still being held in central Pennsylvania. New York officials are trying to extradite him. Mourners attended a prayer service last night near the Madison, Wisconsin religious school where a student killed 2 other people and herself. Wisconsin Public Radio's Anya Van Wachtendonk has more.
Mourners walked through the dark towards a city church located next door to Abundant Life Christian School. Just one day earlier, a student at that school shot and killed a fellow student and a teacher. Inside the church, performers and speakers offered music and prayer. Lisa Haney teaches middle school at Abundant Life. She asked for faith and understanding.
God, I don't know how to still and quiet my own soul because it's going crazy right now on the inside of me.
The shooter was a 15-year-old girl who also died. Madison police say they're still investigating her motives. For NPR News, I'm Anya Van Wachtendonk in Madison.
Russian authorities say they've detained a suspect in the killing of a Russian general who led the country's nuclear and chemical warfare division. NPR's Ryland Barton reports Russian investigators claim the suspect was recruited by Ukrainian special forces.
General Igor Kirilov and his assistant were killed Tuesday when a bomb detonated inside a scooter. According to a statement from Russia's security service, the suspect is an Uzbek citizen who had been promised $100,000 and permission to move to Europe in exchange for carrying out the attack. He allegedly set up a camera that live-streamed the scene to Ukrainian handlers before detonating the bomb. Russian officials say he faces up to life in prison. The attack took place a day after Ukraine's security service charged General Kirilov with directing the use of banned chemical weapons. Ukrainian officials claimed responsibility for the attack. Ryland Barton, NPR News.
Despite efforts to address climate change, new research shows global demand for coal reached a record high this year. NPR's Jeff Brady reports much of the increase is in fast-growing Asian nations.
U.S. coal production has declined for more than a decade, but carbon dioxide from burning coal in the past is responsible for much of the climate pollution in the atmosphere now. Keisuke Satomori with the International Energy Agency says now developing countries are the ones increasing coal production and consumption.
The shift of coal to Asia continues. So China, India, and ASEAN countries account for over 3/4 of the global coal demand.
He says that demand likely will level off and decline in coming years. That's because countries like China are also building a lot of renewable energy, wind and solar, as well as nuclear energy plants, which are considered climate friendly. Jeff Brady, NPR News.
The venerable children's program, Sesame Street, is again looking for a new home after splitting from Max, formerly known as HBO. The program was previously with PBS. NPR's Elizabeth Blair reports Max will discontinue streaming new episodes of Sesame Street after next season.
In a statement, Max says that new episodes of Sesame Street are no longer core to its strategy, but it will rerun old episodes through 2027.
Sunny days sweeping the clouds away.
A lot of Sesame Street's educational content is evergreen, but it's also known for talking about current issues in ways kids can understand and reaching underserved audiences. Polly Conway is senior editor for TV and streaming at Common Sense Media.
Finding a new home is going to be integral to them creating new content and really reaching the audiences that need to be reached.
In a statement, Sesame Workshop says it plans to announce new distribution plans in the coming months. Elizabeth Blair, NPR News.
This week's Billboard rankings are out. NPR's Stephen Thompson reports holiday favorites are dominating.
It's beginning to look a lot like last year's Billboard charts. If you compare this week's Hot 100 to the same chart from 12 months ago, you'll find that the top 5 is identical. Mariah Carey's at number 1, where she's been for 16 non-consecutive weeks in 6 consecutive years. Then you've got Brenda Lee,
Rocking around the Christmas tree.
Bobby Helms,
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Wham,
Last Christmas.
and Burl Ives.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
In that exact order, just like last year. What's really hard to find on the holiday charts is new music.
Let me show.
The highest charting holiday song from this year is Christmas Magic by Leve at number 79. Stephen Thompson, NPR News.
And I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News from Washington.